You didn't ask to be born.
Hi folks, I'm Grover Blom, audio director of the game Mute, that we did make for our seminar, Transformative Interactive Narrative Design by Christian Roth. And I'm gonna show you how our adaptive music and sound system in our game works. But why did we find it so important? And why did we make a whole adaptive audio system for this 2-week project? Well, I think it's fair to say that audio is one of the most important ways to influence the mood of the player. It doesn't matter if you drive a fast car, or shooting zombies.
I said freeze!
Audio is one of the most prominent ways of steering the feelings of the player, especially with music. Don't believe me? Well, let's take a look at this disgusting commercial for baby born dolls.
Baby born, baby born.
I love my baby born. She's like a real baby. She drinks water, cries real tears, does a weird...
This kind of commercial brings out the worst in me. It makes me want to drown puppies or strangle kittens. Why the f*** does this exist? Anyway, let's do something about that. Or take this scene from Breaking Bad, where Hank after 5 seasons found out that Walter is Heisenberg.
You wouldn't know anything about this, would you, Hank? You okay? I gotta say, I don't like the way you're looking at me right now.
The director of this episode decided to use the most powerful music of them all, silence. Now let's put some other music under it and see how the music changes the mood of the scene and what it, suggests now.
Gus Fring, doesn't it?
With movies and games, audio does have primarily impact on the emotional part of the brain. Audio is the thing that makes you feel a scene, while I think imagery is more a thing that gives us context. For example, take this fight scene for the Bourne Ultimatum. As you can see, there's a really intense fight scene going on. But let's see how intense it feels without the audio. See how far away it suddenly feels? We perfectly know what happens from moment to moment, but we didn't feel it. Now let's listen to the audio without the imagery. Well, you didn't know exactly what was happening. Sure, you did recognize some sounds, and you could make a rough sketch in your head of what was happening, but you couldn't tell if he was hitting his arm, his head, or his nose. Heck, you didn't even know who was hitting who. For all you know, he was breaking these f***ing nuts. So now we're on the same page about audio in games and movies, let's take a look at the audio from our game. I started by making a simple track in FL Studio. It consists of a few layers of deep humming sounds. We call them drones. On top of that I added various psychic elements like weird sounding guitars, choirs, some chimneys and whatnot. Although its simpleness, I like how this soundtrack turned out. The only thing is, we're making a game here. And a game is of course an interactive experience. So how cool would it be if the music changes to the state of the game? Well, in our game we have a sanity meter that you as a player need to keep as low as possible. This of course is just a variable in the game that we could use to drive our soundtrack system. So as you can see in the first draft of the soundtrack, I did have multiple drone layers. And here I did use the different drone sounds to bring variation into the tracks. And as you can see, different drone layers are active in different sections of the music. So in the first part, Super Light Drone 1 and Light Drone 1 are played, followed by Light Drone 2, etc, etc. But what if you would make our drone layers active according to the sanity meter? So I made a new draft where I did merge the drone layers in what I like to call drone swarms. And all swarms contain one light drone and one super light drone. And the base drone will always be persistent. And now let's take a look how things look in Fmod. So we have our drone swarms, the base drone and all other instruments. You can also see a few other different layers. We will come to that in a second. For now let's mute them so when I press play we only hear our soundtrack. In the top of the screen you see a float. It's a variable that's hooked up to the sanity meter in Unity. So if that meter goes up, this one will too. If we expand our drone swarm layers, you can see those layers are automated. This means that some parameters on some effects in these layers are hooked up to a variable in this Fmod event. In this case it's linked to our sanity float variable. And the parameter that's connected in this case is the layer's volume. So if I dial up the sanity float, you can see that changes the volume of the different drone swarms. For now I'm gonna mute all other instruments except for the drones, so you guys can properly hear all the drone sounds changing according to the sanity value. Well, let's hear it again now with all other instruments unmuted. So now you know how the music is changing. Let's take a look now at adaptive sound design. The sound design consists of multiple layers consisting scattering instruments. Basically a scatter instrument spawns sounds at random intervals. And in this case it's also set to choose a random pitch every time it spawns a sound. The first sound design layer has a scatter instrument containing different things. Footstep, phones, mechanical sounds. And the second layer contains electronic sounds. And the third layer is a loop with speed up voices. As you notice, for me the theme also shifted a bit towards overstimulated in general. The first layer I filled with sounds that can overwhelm me in a large space of people. The second layer are more some kind of metaphor for all errors in the brain that are present in the moment of someone suffering of social anxiety. And the third and final layer is in combination between the first two. It's quite literal in the sense that the sound of people talking is something that can be very overstimulating, but also symbolizes the fear/feeling of someone with social anxiety has. That everyone is looking at them and talking about them around their backs. If I expand the last layer, you can see there's a quite bit of automation going on there. In this case we have one automation on the volume, one on the distortion module, one on the flanger module and one on the reverb module. And if I change the sanity value you can see all the dials moving. I will not bore you with what's exactly happening here, but I will solo this track and let you hear what happens when you dial up the sanity meter. Pretty cool, huh? Now if you combine all those elements, it sounds like this. Now you know how the adaptive sound systems in our game work, for our seminar Transformative Interactive Narrative Design by Christian Roth. I hope you enjoyed this video, thanks a lot for watching and until next time.